Hey guys, Mike here. So we broke our 6-day winning streak. Finally got a red day. Oh, still possible, man. But we're definitely going to something that we know now why we saw that huge explosion up when we opened up yesterday, as well as we had some stocks that were green and kind of all over the place. But the reason for that was because Elon Musk was talking, so that's why you saw Tesla do what it did. And I can show you exactly when he started talking, and we'll go over the highlights because he did say some important things. Also, Google had an AI conference. You might notice a nice little quick dip on that one. That happens a lot during those AI conferences, as well as something Elon said about NVIDIA and a transaction that happened, which was very interesting, to say the least. I don't know if somebody knows something or what it is, and then we'll go through something else that's definitely hitting. We'll see if it's going to be a triple bottom or not. And I guarantee you the government's hoping this is the case. That is for sure. And a lot of people for that matter, if you're sitting there holding this as well. But getting into this, you'll see right here, yesterday, once again, retail sets another record and plows in like 4.5 billion before 1 o'clock in the afternoon, which is why you saw that huge surge up in the market yesterday. And then all the high beta stuff, NVIDIA, like all of them were just flying. And that is why. So it's amazing to see. And I don't really know how they're separating this out from like retail. This is coming from JP Morgan and stuff exactly versus everybody else. And I don't know if it means like just us here in America or this is a global scale. That's what I'm not sure of. But again, you can see that little line there is way above the rest of them. Okay. Now, Tesla here consolidating. Okay. It's been consolidating since last Wednesday. So it's definitely setting up for a much bigger move. And this happens because when it consolidates, you can go back on its charts. Again, I can't predict if that's up or down because they got an event coming up, the robotaxi event, which they normally run up into. And you can see they left plenty of gas behind. Again, it's a big move. You can see last time we consolidated right there in the middle there, little dip down, and then boom, rocket shipped up. And so I know a lot of people, they really want this to come back down to 305 to try to get this move up. But when you pull the volume profile up, and you can see what I'm talking about, how it can go in either direction here. There's above it. If it breaks right there, it's going to move very quickly to that 360, 380 range. And if we can get down below, that's when you'll get your dip down to that 300, 310 area right there, which would fill that gap and everything. And then still we run up, because I don't know the exact day for robotaxi day, because I don't think he talked about that day when I looked up the highlights and everything. But you can tell when he started talking, because again, the call option started just flooding in right there around 11:30. And there was one key thing he said to trigger this. And there was plenty of things he said. There was definitely one key thing that he talked about. And you can tell, by the way, when he stopped talking right there, because it just faded like everything else. But the thing he said that got to pop first was, and they said, are you going to be around in 5 more years of Tesla? And he said, yes. They also said they're going to spend, put $1 million in NVIDIA chips in a new AI factory, wants to have hundreds of thousands of self-driving cars on the road next year. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. Also, shouldn't have to buy Uber, no reason to do that. What else did he talk about? Oh, the one was talking, another one we got the pop was, he was talking to major car manufacturers about them leasing or licensing, the software for the self-driving. So that was a big one. That would be a big deal if they can get that done. So again, I'm not saying that, I'm saying that's what he said. And so we're going to see how it goes. And I tell you, man, when you think of a company, it's only one other company I can really think of that has a CEO that the fact is, what do you think? If you ever step down, 25% drop in a couple of days, that's my guess. I think I'm being conservative on that number, but it was basically like, Apple, when Steve Jobs, I think they fired him at first, right? And they had to bring him back. But one thing they hold in common is they're both visionaries. They both just have a talent for coming up with this crazy vision. They want to do this right here, and then be able to assemble the team to get it done for them. They're not the one actually doing the work. And so they have that. And it's just one of those things where, look at Apple for over the last, the stock price is going up, of course. But how many times over the last like 10, 12 years you've been saying, oh, look, a new iPhone with a better camera. Oh, look, the iPad is flatter or thinner or something. It's like they lost that visionary. And so when Elon Musk does step away, I don't know who the visionary is going to be, honestly. And the thing about him is what makes everybody nervous. He's just got so much other stuff going on. He did say today that, he eventually will probably bring Starlink public, which I actually thought Starlink was part of SpaceX. I didn't know there was 2 separate companies. So, learned something on that one. And so, just got a lot of stuff going on. So, and he looks younger than what he is because, he has a lot of surgery going on, but, he's not a spring chicken either. So we'll see what goes on. Let me know what you think. Well, in the bottom, how much does the stock drop when he steps away? That's my biggest question. Again, I'm not predicting he's going to do it anytime soon. Everybody has to eventually do it. But another thing I hope, he better not do is, which I would do it if I was him. I don't know why he keeps it with Tesla, but takes the robot and puts it into a robot company, into a separate company. That would be an interesting thing to see that happen. Now, another stock that follows Tesla is Rivian. Told you guys about this a while back. So we break this trend, we're going this trend line to this level, and then next thing you know, we're going to go up here if Tesla continues this move, which it has. So of course, if Tesla busts out and starts going to the top volume gap, it's going to go up to the next line up there around 1850. If it doesn't, and you get down, move down to 305, this thing's going to come down probably like 14, 25, somewhere in there. And people look at me sideways when I say this, but it's like you just pull a Tesla chart up, you can see right there. I mean, they look identical, right? I mean, that's kind of the way it is. And so for whatever reason, there's certain stocks that do this, and this is one of them. They just move in different percentages, and the options obviously in Tesla are much much better because of the premiums. But anyway, now you might as well Google drop right here. They had an AI conference, and immediately when they started talking about search, they're going to try to integrate search or AI into search more and things like that. They started rolling out products, but really what happened was all of a sudden people started saying, "Oh, their search engine percentage is going to go down, their market share," and that's been going on for quite a while for this one. And again, Apple does the same thing when they roll out their conference, AI conference, stuff drops, right? But again, the levels are easy on this one. If the breakout above 165 would continue, I think we finally get to 170, even though, again, this one is a big laggard compared to everything else. If not, then look for 159 and see if that is going to actually hold and be the bottom to mitigate that fair value gap. Now looking at hood, we talked about this one. Here it is, 1% away from all-time highs, green day in a red market. So just curious, do you think it came all this way to not get there? And what I do like about hood, I would say, as far as this move up, is the fact that, it just keeps testing levels and moving up, right? So again, it came down today, tested this level, popped, it held. When you look at how it's just been riding the fibs up, you can see it, the golden pocket, the 0.5 fibs, consolidate on each before it moves up. So it just keeps stepping its way up. If it does want some liquidity down to 6208 or 5990, we'll be able to look for, but it's right there at all-time highs. Now, the thing to watch out for is TLT, because again, is this going to be a triple bottom? That's what we got to find out. It's rare to see it, but there it is. And we talked about this coming into this area right here where usually it bounces. And I'm telling you, a lot of people want it to bounce because they're exposed to TLT. But I know the government wants it to bounce because if it bounces, that means yields are coming down. Because you can see the 10-year yield we talked about is at resistance right here. Keeps hanging around right there. If it breaks above it, obviously TLT is not going to triple bottom. It's going to go lower. And the 10-year yield is going to continue to march higher, obviously. And this is a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal because if it does pop higher, again, lending rates are going to go up. And one thing that's really going to go up even more and put stress on a certain sector is going to be your 30-year mortgage, right? Everybody, and I'm bringing this up today because I'll talk to you about that in just a minute, but somebody mentioned it to me. But when it breaks up, it affects all borrowing rates. You can track this with the mortgage rates, right? You can see this is the 30-year fixed mortgage rate. As the 10-year has been popping back up, it's been going up. Right there, you can see September, you saw how quickly that thing went from 6.1 to almost 7%. That is a big move for a mortgage rate, okay? And so now we're hanging around that 6.8. And normally what's so weird about this is borrowing rates, the 10-year yield, follows the Fed funds rate. Well, as you can see, everybody's saying they need to cut. Well, last time they cut, 10-year went up. Let me change the color of this so you can see it. And of course, mortgage rates followed it because that's how it works. Okay, the borrowing rates follow the 10-year mortgage. The savings rates follows the Fed funds rate. And so you can see they went in the opposite direction. That is very, very rare that happens. I mean, if they start cutting again this year and it happens again, I'm going to be just stunned. But that's what, remember, Jim Carson was talking about. But normally, the same direction. Fed funds rates going up, 10 years going up, mortgage rates going up, flattens out, both of them flatten out. You can see right here, same thing. Starts coming down, they start all moving in the same direction. Not the same percentages or anything, but in the same direction, okay? And you go back to 08, you can see what I'm talking about as well. And again, we're just in a different time right now, it seems, obviously. But, when they flatten out the Fed funds rate, it was flat. When they were raising it, this stuff was going up. Again, not the same percentages, but same direction. And then when they cut, obviously they usually go in the same direction, okay? And that's extremely important, especially because the real estate market's a pretty big industry or sector in this country. And I'll tell you what's interesting, man. I had this guy come out today to fix my garage. I tried replacing the part, didn't work or whatever, and it's just not opening up or anything. And it was a young guy. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but I was in customer service for a long time, and so I had to deal with customers. But I could tell I was looking to be his dad easy. And I was like, man, this guy seems stressed. Like, you just cut the stress on this guy with a knife. I mean, he just seems so frustrated at everything, and he didn't even touch the garage yet. And I could see it. And for those who don't know, I was this close to majoring in psychology to become a psychiatrist or a psychologist, whatever, because I think the human mind's fascinating, and I like helping people with their problems. And plus, like, I grew up in a family with many mental illnesses, by the way, so I'm not nervous when I get around people who are, you know, schizophrenic, bipolar, suffer from depression, all that stuff, because I've seen it as a young kid and grew up in it. So very comfortable being around people and stuff. And then just being around people who just have, you know, they're just stressed out, whatever it is, anxiety, that kind of stuff. And you know, I'm like, dude, this guy right here is gonna get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not easily offended or anything. Because at first I was like taken back for a minute, but I'm like, I get it. I was in the business, you know, dealing with people, but I'm not even saying anything. I'm just, can you fix my garage or whatever? And I finally asked him, I was like, hey man, you okay? Like, I just, you know, and he's like, which man? I said, you seem really stressed out, dude. You seem like your anxiety's he's bouncing off these walls right here. And there's something going on besides work. I can just see it. And I'm good at reading people. And he's like, oh, he's like, I'm sorry. He's like, yeah, man. It's like, and he just opened the floodgates there, boy, and started just thump, bop, 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 bop. But one of them was, what's he having to do right now? He's stressed because he's having to pay massive amounts of rent, and he's living in a place he don't want to live in, and he wants to buy a house, but they, you know, can't save enough money. And here's a guy who's working. He even told me like his work is so stressful because they're working 6 days a week right now. They can't even keep up with the demand. So there's another thing, obviously demand in his business still going up, right? And people are willing to pay it. And it's not cheap when you have somebody come out and fix your garage, which is why I try to do it myself. But again, you know, which I think I need a whole new unit now, so that's nice. But, you know, this guy here, we keep talking about this younger generation and how they're kind of screwed because, you know, you can't buy a house. He's like, I've been saving, but you see how much a down payment is right now and, you know, how much it costs? I'm like, yeah, I know. I didn't tell him I had a YouTube channel. I'm like, yes, I know. Trust me. You know, and here he is working 6 days a week, renting this apartment with somebody living above him, driving him insane, and, you know, just all these issues. But yeah, I mean, it's, and of course for him, it ain't getting no better because mortgage rates are going up again. So it's even more, so as he saves to try to get in the house, the mortgage rates will keep ticking up. Okay, and that's why we need the 10-year to fall. We definitely need the 10-year to fall and not keep hanging out. So maybe people can get in houses. That would be nice because in my area, the rents now have eclipsed the mortgage, actually what the mortgage would cost, even with the increase in prices. That's how expensive rents are. And I don't live in some uppity area, by the way. And so it is insane what even a one-bedroom goes for now. It's almost literally twice what it was when I moved here, I guess 6, 7 years ago, I guess it is. So that's nuts and unsustainable as well. Again, I'll go into a whole different video on that. Just FYI, at some point in time, I'm starting to collect all that data as it comes out for you guys about, yeah, underneath the hood, you know, it all looks good, but not so much. And eventually that will come into play, of course. Now, lastly here, when you look at earnings, you can see right here, we got some finally, Baidu, Target, TJX right there, and then in the afternoon, or actually down below, excuse me, Xpeng, and then in the afternoon, Snowflake, Zoom, and Urban Outfitters. So more retailers. I know Home Depot actually held up their stuff, so they're not going to raise prices. That was actually good. And as far as data, crude oil inventories, and that's it. The red folder's on Thursday, guys. So again, could be another snooze fest tomorrow. We'll see if we finally get some kind of move or not. We don't have news. This is what a lot of times you see and stuff. So we'll see what some of these stocks do, is whether they break out or break down or continue to consolidate, which is not a bad thing, by the way. So please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Thank you for signing up for the membership. Less than McDonald's combo, and I will see you guys later.